Hey, it's a Wolf, and today we're going to be looking at clocks, not that type of clock, redstone clocks. These are all the clocks that I use on Bedrock Edition all the time. Clocks are typically measured in the distance between each pulse, so if you didn't know, there are 20 ticks per second, and just to make things even more confusing, redstone ticks every second tick, so there are only 10 redstone ticks per second. But we measure all these when we go by game ticks, and that's why you sometimes see GT rather than just ticks, because for example, this repeater is a 1-tick repeater, we would say. However, because it's a redstone tick, it's actually 2 game ticks. Enough of this tomfoolery, let's get into the clocks. So a bunch of these clocks aren't even possible on Java, or they work differently. So these are Bedrock clocks. The fastest one that you can have is a 4 game tick clock. That's how fast it is. Hey, you might use this, put a target block and a dropper, and if we put some stuff in there, turn it on, it's going to spit out every 4 game ticks. So 5 times per second. It's a super simple clock. To build it, you put down a comparator, click it once so that this light comes on, that's called subtraction mode, and then we put redstone dust around here, put the lever here, and flick it on. And as long as you've got a solid redstone signal coming in, that's going to cause that to go on. So you could put a redstone block there, could put a solid block here with a lever on, turn that on, or we could put our lever here and have redstone dust coming into it. How this works, this signal comes in here at 15 because it's a solid signal, comes out here, so this one's 15, this one's 14, this one's 13, which is less than the 15, which then pulses it around again. That's a super efficient, the fastest clock, great one all around, and the foundation for all these clocks. Now if you notice that I put the target block off here, put it off here, or you can run the signal out at least a couple away from it, but you can't take it directly out of here because it's a little too fast. Let me show you a problem. So you see this is firing a lot faster than the piston. So it depends what you want to use it for. If you want to slow it down so that you can use it with the piston, we have something like this. So this one, because we can slow it down with this repeater, we want it slower, we can go down like this, so we can go from 8 game ticks, the fastest one, down to 20 game ticks. So 20 game ticks, meaning once every second. So right here, this is going to pulse once every second. Build this, we'll put our comparator down there on subtract mode. Let's go around, face the other direction, and we put the repeater here, and dust into the side here. And then you have a power source there. So this is if you want it super fast, and this is if you need it slowed down a little. Say for example for pistons. This version here uses less resources, but it looks identical. However, there's one major difference. This one can be used with droppers for an on-demand dispersal system. So if we put a target block there, so that, see, put that target block there, it redirects the dust into here. So now with this one, if we put some items in here, whenever items enter into here, it's going to spit them out. Very useful for storage and stuff like that. So it's going to keep going until then, and then it's going to turn the clock off. Let's see what happens if we do it on this one. So same setup. Doesn't work because this signal doesn't travel enough to get into the repeater. But Catwolf, what if we put the repeater there? Well, it works, doesn't it? Yes, it does work, but if it ever gets too many items in there, the whole thing locks up. So use this if you're not going to ever run into a full thing, because let's take one out. And there we go, finally. So I don't recommend this one. It's much better to use this one. So to build this, if you have a dropper or something like that, it would go there, and you would put your redstone comparator there. Make sure it's on subtract mode. Put 2 solid blocks there, dust there, and into the side of the comparator. Then your repeater there. And you can slow this down so that it is the same 8 game ticks to 20 game ticks, depending on what you need. And I use that exact same clock in AutoCrafters, as you can see here. This one here is also 4 game ticks, same as the super fast one. However, it also allows us to do things like the droppers because of this system right here. So to get this working, you would put a target blocker there, and then any items in here are going to get pushed out in 4 game ticks, 5 times per second. Build this, we put a comparator down in regular mode, going straight into a repeater. That way, whatever signal comes in here, we're going to provide a solid 15 signal into here. Then we come around like this. This is going to be in subtract mode, so this is our 4 game tick clock, same thing there. and then we're going to run it down. Now we can't have this here because otherwise it's going to be causing issues with this comparator. So either do a repeater here, or you could do a repeater here into a solid block and something, whatever it is that you need from there. But as long as you avoid, I mean, you can even go down if you want. Like you could do something like that. Just as long as you avoid putting redstone dust right here, everything will be well. So for this version, we're going to do this here, and we're going to have the target block here. Actually, I don't think we even need a target block. We should be able to just do a regular solid block. There you go. So we have that in there. Put the items in here, and they're going to spit out super quick. So that's it for these basic comparator clock types. I use these all the time, use variations, whatever it is that I need particular jobs. Now the next one is this, which looks like it's too simple, but there's our clock. You can see the dust is coming out. It's a 6 game tick clock, so it's a little bit slower than the comparator clock, and we only use this sticky piston and leave it just to make things easy on ourselves. We could just put that there, and it works. But we always prefer having a way to turn off our clocks. So this couldn't be simpler. Put down an observer facing this way, leave a 2 block gap, put down your sticky piston, and an observer facing this way, lever anywhere leading into here. And there's your clock. Take your signal out of here. You could even do something like this. This next clock is super versatile. You don't need to have gone to the nether because it's literally just redstone, sticks, and stone. The smooth stone isn't necessary. You can use any solid blocks, but you will need stone for the repeater and cobblestone for the lever. And this one goes 8 game ticks all the way up to 20 game ticks, depending on how high you set this repeater. To build this, and I'm going to build it out of wood just to show you that it's possible, make an iron golem-like shape and knock out the middle one. Now, the order doesn't matter, the position doesn't matter, but one side you're going to want to have dust, and the other side you need a torch. From the torch side, like standing on the torch side facing away, put your repeater so that it faces there, and then somewhere, anywhere, you want to put a lever so that you can turn it off. Now, the big thing to consider that people don't often go through, when you turn it off, this torch is unpowered, and this one is powered. You're also going to have power coming out from here. You can take the power signal out from any of these. However, if you want to have, I don't know, like pistons retracted, for example, you would take the signal out from here. So then the pistons are retracted when it's off. But if you want them extended, for whatever reason, you would take it out of that side. Just something to take into consideration. And that's a little fast for pistons, so if we slow it down so I can show you, one's going on, one's going off. Now, I use this in a couple of farm contraptions, just this on-off feature. Super useful, something to bear in mind. And that signal, you can take it out of literally anywhere. The lever can be anywhere. Put it there, you can even put it here. You just need to power one of these 3 blocks, you know. Put it on the top. Whatever you need. This next one, this is 2 different ways of building the same thing. So I'll show you that in a second, but this is called an etho hopper clock, whichever way it's built. And the benefit of this is you can go all the way up to 4 minutes and 16 seconds between pulses. It's amazing. So to build this, build either version of them down and then face that hopper into it so that it's like that. See, if it's going down, it's like this. If it's going the sideways, it goes like that. Break this hopper, and then facing into this one, we have another hopper so that it looks like this. And then if you put an item in, it's going to bounce in between the 2 of them. And that's how the clock works. You know, it's just placing items, pushing items in between the 2 hoppers. Now to control it, we have a comparator there and a comparator there, and they go into solid blocks. So that's the same for both of these. The only difference is the location of this top row. So this top row here, including the dust, is just on the side. So for the ones stacked on top of each other, we would put dust here, and then a piston. Make sure it's a piston, not a sticky piston, and then a redstone block there. Always good to have a lever somewhere, just so that you can turn it off. But then if we put items in here, and turn this off, what happens? These items, let's take every one of those out, that'll be forever. These items flow through here, and then you'll see it shifts sides, and then they all drain from this side into this side. And then it just keeps repeating until you're done. So there's different ways of taking signal out of it. For example, you could take a repeater out of here, so when this goes through here, that turns on. And then you could have another repeater going into there. One goes up, one goes down, whatever. This dust will actually pulse So for example, you could have an observer watching this dust. See, creates a pulse. You could do a pulse limiter like this. The benefits of this are endless. Raven Mad Hatter has produced a calculator. There's a website you can use. I'll link it in the description so you can calculate exactly the length of time that you want. I use that all the time. And just for completeness, we'll show the other way. We have dust on each of these. I have a piston here, redstone block there, and a piston here. And it works exactly the same. So with this, once you turn it off, it's only going to lock once it gets to the far side. So this will empty and it won't restart again until you turn this lever off. Now for the final one, if you need a super fast clock and you haven't been to the Nether, this is the one that I would use. And this is the one that I used to use in the early days when I was afraid of the Nether. No judgment here. So the way this works, it doesn't have a traditional on and off switch. To start it, you would put this torch here. And then to turn it off, you have to break one of the redstone dust and then you just place it back in place. So this is a 4 game tick clock, same as this one. And to build it, we put repeater this way, dust all around. And then the easiest way to trigger it, put a redstone block there and then just put your torch there and it'll just run forever. So that's all the best redstone clocks in Bedrock Edition. Hope you've enjoyed this one and I'll see you in the next one.